friends, welcome back to my channel. My name is Ashley Ariana, joined by the wonderful Tom Jensen, and we're so happy to have you guys. How are you doing, Tom?
I'm doing well, Ashley. How are you?
I'm doing really good. It's freezing cold, which I don't like, but it's not raining. I know for you it's raining in Seattle, and it will be raining in the Bay Area, so I feel like I'm not going to complain until it starts raining. I know the rain is like good for the earth and everything. As someone who loves to be outside but doesn't like to be soaking wet, I'm appreciating the pre-rain time that we're having.
Yeah. I don't think you would enjoy it up here too much. So we're just getting deluged. It's like a shower outside is basically the weather that Seattle has been last week or two.
It's
crazy.
It's too much. It's too much, Tom. And especially when it's like rain and wind. So it's like being flung into you. You know what I need to do?
And here's the key. That's going to be the weather for the Rams game on Thursday.
Oh, I didn't think about that.
Drum roll.
Damn, that's gonna make that game even more interesting. You and I will get into the 49ers clinching a playoff spot. That game will come into conversation when it comes to that. But yeah, aside from that, I'm doing really good. If I feel a little energetic, I have discovered these like little flavored rice cakes thing that I keep putting on my smoothies. But there was like a peppermint version of it for the holidays, and I ate so much of it.
Ashley Sweet Tooth strikes again.
I have to try to figure out. I have to like space my meals weirdly apart because I'm starting to take an iron supplement. I might need to get an iron infusion. I talked about this a little bit on my stream at the very end, but I'm super low iron, which is annoying because I do actually eat a lot of iron-rich foods. I just have had stomach issues for years. My 2026 resolution, is that what that's called, is going to be to try to get off my stomach medicine. But for right now, you can't take iron supplements like within any food. So you have to wait like 3 hours after any meal and at least 2 hours before the next meal. But then I also can't take it within 6 hours of my stomach medicine or within 5 hours of my probiotic. So I've been on a weird schedule with this iron. All that to be said, I was very hungry when I finally got some food, and I ate a giant pack of not cotton candy cane flavored rice cakes. So I have a lot of energy right now.
Okay. Oh, that's cool. And it sounds like you're going to need to do some intermittent fasting in order to get your meal in and get the rest of the meds.
Exactly. I don't know. I'm a little bit nervous about it, but I'm trying to stay in good spirits because I am like healthy. It's just an absorption thing. But I don't know. You can just, I don't want to get into it, but I'll keep everyone updated. I have a doctor's appointment tomorrow. They might tell me to get an iron infusion. For anyone who knows anything about this, my ferritin is a 2 and my heme is a 7 and my iron saturation is a 3. And if you don't know anything about this, normal levels are between 100 and 190. And I'd like to go back and repeat that mine are at a 2. Apparently I've been low on.
Yikes.
They said like last time I got mine checked, it was higher, but it was still what would be considered like severely low. It was at a 20. But 2 is worse than 20, and 20 is bad. Anyways,
well, get better.
I'm feeling really good because I've eaten a ton of candy. 49ers played the Titans this week. They beat the Titans this week. Big shocker. There's some, I feel like, good and bad takeaways that we can have from this Titans game, as well as I'd like to address with you some overreactions I'm seeing. But I want to start positive. In my opinion, one of the takeaways from the Titans game that was a pro was Brock Purdy looked 100% back and healthy. So what I mean by that is mobility wise, he utilized his legs way more. He had his longest rushing yards of his career, second longest in the 49ers in the last 30 years, right behind Colin Kaepernick
Right.
for of 26. But he was taking off, scrambling to the left, right to throw the ball. I also felt like so that was good. I also felt like he was planting his foot, so his passes were had a little bit more velocity than I would say 3 to 4 games ago. And then, so that from a health Brock Purdy's toe perspective is great. Also, something that I thought could be promising was in the third quarter, Brock Purdy ended up taking a sack. It was for minus 2 yards, but you sell him hitch and almost throw. And I think on the playback, Baldy did kind of a breakdown of this, but I think he was going to throw the ball to George Kittle. George Kittle was covered by 3 defenders, and we've seen Brock Purdy unnecessarily on first down, second down, make that throw and turn the ball over. And the Titans, at one point in this game, were within 10 points. A lot of that, due to the defensive struggles that we'll get into. But giving the ball to them would not have been a help there. And I was actually, it sounds funny, but I was actually proud that Brock Purdy took the, sack for -2, because then I think that was on second down, and I think they converted the third down. So I would rather, obviously, him throw the ball away and not even get to the sack. But the fact that he hesitated and played a clean game of football, I know there was 1 turnover, the fumble, but for the most part, 3 touchdowns and no actual turnover or interceptions. That was my main takeaway. And if Brock Purdy can, carry that into these future games when he's playing the Colts that are going to have, a really good run game and probably going to be able to continue or to keep possession of the football for longer than Tennessee did. When we think about the Bears, they have been able to score a lot of points. They've been able to run and pass. And then especially if /when the 49ers get into the playoffs, Brock Purdy being able to not turn the ball over, winning the turnover battle with the way the defense is playing right now, offensively, you can't give the ball back to them and put the defense back on the field. You need to at least get, the field goal, kill the clock, all those things. So I was glad that he made that split second decision to actually reel in his, gunslinger wannabe attitude. So
yeah, it showed a lot of growth that he was willing to take that sack rather than throw the ball into triple coverage. So I like that we're seeing that from Brock. He's starting to learn that it's better to take the sack than throw the ball into a crowd. And I'm hopeful that he'll continue that. We're starting to see that he's self-regulating on those kinds of throws. He only had 1 throw that he kind of threw into traffic that was ill-advised, but everything else was a solid decision. I like that he just played free, that there was no hesitation. He didn't think about, should I not run here? Should I throw the ball? It's everything was just instinctive play.
Instinctual. That's a great word.
And that's exactly what you want to see from Brock. Plus, as you pointed out, his execution was crisp, that he had his footing, he had zip on the ball, he threw the ball with authority, he threw it downfield well. This is the best game Brock has played this year, and hopefully he carries that forward, and we'll see. But I thought this was a real building block game for Brock, that all the questions that you have about him going forward, now we're starting to see those questions fall away, and he's playing well.
Another positive takeaway, moving off of Brock, but onto the offense, is this offense scored 37 points, almost 40 points, and they didn't run the entire offense through Christian McCaffrey. I think he had 1 catch in the receiving game, which is, funny enough. I assumed that if they were going to limit Christian, it would be limiting him on the ground and getting him more touches in the air. But they were able to spread the ball around to George Kittle, which, hey, you should do that. He's the best tight end in football. Juwan Jennings, Ricky Pearsall got, I think, 6 receptions. He had a really good game. We'll talk about his injury in a little bit. But the fact that they proved that they don't have to be Christian McCaffrey centric to win a game and to be high scoring, I think is really, a good learning lesson for Kyle. I don't know. I'm nervous to make broad spectrum takeaways that they're going to do this moving forward. Christian McCaffrey had a back injury earlier in the week, so I don't know if limiting him was like a conscious, a strategic choice.
I think it was. Because he had the bad back, Kyle held back a little bit in involving CMC. And look what the offense did as a result of that. It's
did really learn from that.
He spread the ball around. The offense moved. They were very efficient, over 60% on third down. 5 of their first 5 possessions, 5 scores. This is how the Niners need to play offense. But we need to then balance that in the context of Tennessee is the 26th ranked defense in the league. They're 27th against wide receivers. They had 3 safeties go down in the first half.
Yeah.
This is as bad as you're going to see Tennessee play on D. So you have to balance that out. But I still look at it from an execution point of view of exactly what you wanted to see in execution from Brock and from Ricky Pearsall were exactly what they need. And Kittle has always been great. You just need to give him the ball more. So everything that Kyle did was on point. I thought that this was one of his best game plans, and it worked very well, even though you look at the Tennessee defense being that bad to begin with, and then the injuries, you still have to look at – I don't look at the points. I look at just how did they play, and they played really well. That's what you want to see. That's what they build on.
Do you think – and we'll get into some of the maybe less positive takeaways, but do you think – maybe Kyle was put in a position where he felt like he had to limit Christian this week? He's a full blown practice and feels totally fine all week this week. Do you think that he will have learned from this game and not force feed McCaffrey, or he'll go right back?
No, it's Kyle. He will feed Christian again. Christian will get his normal touches again if his back is 100%, and he'll tell Kyle if it is.
Okay. I also think so, but I wish that I didn't.
Yeah. It's just we saw the proof. Granted, it's against one of the worst teams in the league, the worst defense in the league, one of them. So you've got to factor that in, but it's still just from an execution point of view. I know what Julia is saying, that it's Brock doing this against a bad team has to be balanced out. I agree with that take, but still, if you look just at Brock's execution, don't look at the stats, just how did he actually play? He played instinctively. He ran well. He made great decisions, and he had zip in the ball. Everything you want from him in execution.
Yeah.
It didn't matter who he was playing. It's how did he execute his position really well, best of the season for him. So that's my takeaway for Brock.
Before I want to now go into the less positive things, but really quickly, I want to shout out some of our regulars. People were in here before we even started. Daniel says, hello, happy Tuesday, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us. Eric and Julie were both saying hello and happy holidays. Definitely happy holidays, everyone. I hope that you guys have been enjoying this time between Thanksgiving and Christmas can sometimes be a blur, and also sometimes I don't know how to talk. Bigger than life says, hey Ashley and hey Tom.
Bigger.
So I just wanted to shout out everyone in here. Mr. Corey says, what's up? What's up, guys? Thank you so much. Okay. We got lots. Thank you guys so much. Really appreciate you.
Thanks, everybody.
So moving on to the less favorable takeaways from this game. And you kind of hinted at it that, a lot of this success has to be balanced out by who they're playing. Of course, when it comes to mindset and decision-making, that is hopefully something you can carry over, even if it's a more challenging team. The Tennessee Titans are a horrible team, and the 49ers defense got 0 sacks on Cam Ward. The Tennessee Titans came into the game being the second worst rated run team in the NFL, and they seemingly were able to run up and down the field on the 49ers. Defensively, this was a big kind of fall back to reality. I feel like there's been a couple games, whether it's the competition or whatever, that Robert Saleh has been able to, pull a rabbit out of a hat and make something out of nothing. Even when they were getting, no sacks, it was like, oh, they're still able to kind of simulate pressure or something. That did not at all happen in this game. I'm sure you're going to get into it. The safeties looked horrible. There was a wide open touchdown that was given up. Maybe you can talk about it. I don't know if it was on the safety or if it was on Lenore, but I do know that the same concept was also the touchdown that Shador Sanders was able to score on them. So defensively, this, as much as I was like, wow, if Brock can, play like this and they can protect the football, they have a chance. I felt as good as I felt about the offense, I felt like, oh, if this was any other team, they'd be, winning. They'd be winning right now.
Well, it would be a real close game, even with the Niners scoring 37, because the defense was playing that poorly. Yeah,
and one, is it realistic to think that the 49ers offense can score 40 points, every playoff game all the way into the Super Bowl to win, if that's the goal? No. And two, it was a pretty disheartening defensive performance. My dad, who usually we watch the game at the same time we were texting, he had gone to SantaCon because I guess my dad is cooler than me. So he was driving back from the city, driving back to his house from the city and listening to it on the radio. And he was just texting me like, wait, what is happening? Why, what's going on? He couldn't understand the score. He was like, oh, like clearly the Niners aren't doing good. And I was like, well, actually, like watching it, they are doing good, but I know why you think that, because the score makes it's a one score game for the majority of the game. And that was because even though for at least the beginning part of the game, every time the 49ers offense had the ball, they would score a touchdown or a field goal. The Titans were doing the same thing, which is not good because once again, this is not these are I can't even name a Titans player aside from Cam Ward, and they were beating our cornerbacks. So
it was tough. It was tough.
Takeaways from this.
There's a lot. It's just as you have to apply the context of the Tennessee defense being bad, you need to apply the context of who the Niners had in the field. That Curtis Robinson is a special teams player. He shouldn't be on the field.
No.
Other than that, and he was out of position and has missed on a lot of tackles. Yeah. And so having him is part of why the run defense was as bad as it was. That Tony Pollard had a really good game. But it's also, you have to look at what the Tennessee offensive line did the prior week, that Tony Pollard had 161 yards. Clearly the offensive line was coming together.
Yeah.
And they proved it against the Niners. But it's still a concern that Tennessee ran all over you. And now you're going to play Indianapolis, who has a much better offensive line, and the league's leading rusher in Jonathan Taylor. How are you going to stop it? And so first thing is Tatum Bethune is practicing this week. Hopefully he comes back. The next thing is Jason Pinnock is also a guy that should not see the field. That Kyle Posey had a great stat today on Twitter. Every play that Posey was on the field, Tennessee gained an average of 9.7 yards. No more Pinnock. That ain't working. So what do they have to do? They have to say, okay, our big nickel, we've got to put in somebody else. Who would that be? Eric Kendricks is supposed to practice this week. He's very good against the run. He could be it, but he can't cover tight ends. And this is the problem that the Niners have. They don't have the skill set for pass coverage and run defense at the same time in dealing with the tight end and stopping the run. That's why I wanted them to trade for Quincy Williams at the deadline. That's what he does. They don't have it at safety or linebacker.
No.
And so Kendricks can give you the run, but not the pass. Pinnock can give you nothing. So you say, all right, what else can you do? Darrell Luter, who is pretty good size, 6'1", and can deal with the run and defend tight ends. I would try him. They're also going to have to look at Kendricks. And if he's decent in practice, Isaiah Bolden, who they signed in the practice squad, 6'2", 205, and he ran a 4.35 in college. That's a great athlete. Can you put him on the field? But they've got to come up with something. It cannot be Curtis Robinson and Jason Pinnock on the field anymore. No. So why did Tennessee have that much success? Those two guys, mainly. But the touchdown to Gunnar Helm, that was D. Winters blowing an assignment. He let him go and then tried to catch back up and couldn't. It's Jair Brown way too late in safety coverage. It was a mess. And now you're going up against the two rookies that were drafted in the first round at tight end. You're going to be playing Tyler Warren and Colston Loveland in consecutive weeks, and you can't defend a tight end, and you can't stop the run at the same time. Saleh has to figure this out immediately, and so he's going to have to try whoever he could put in there. I would guess that it's going to be Kendricks as the first attempt, but he could also look at Luter and potentially, though it's a wild card, Bolden. But he's got to come up with something.
When is Tatum Bethune? Someone said Tatum Bethune needs to return.
He's practicing this week. Kyle said he's going to practice. So
I was like,
I would expect that Bethune will be back.
Yeah. Their run defense has really plummeted since he's been off the field. Michael Williams being off the field. Obviously, Bosa and Warner, but I'm thinking past them.
But yeah, once Michael Williams went down, they've been last in the league in success rate and run D.
Now, what are they going to do at safety? Malik Mustafa came back, and I was really excited because he had a good year last year. They're struggling at safety, and I'm not trying to put it all on Mustafa, but they're not doing good at that position.
No.
What switch up can they do there to try to
at safety? Nothing. Mustafa and Brown are the best safeties they've got. The only thing they can do is either force a linebacker on the field or force a big DB. So that's Kendricks or Luter.
Yeah. Okay.
That's it. I talked about safety before the season began that they had to get a safety. They didn't. And here we are. This is a product of their own creation. The reason that they've got this crater in skill sets in the roster is they ignored it. It's their fault.
Yeah. And that it makes me upset. I feel like I've referred back to this a couple times in our recent streams, but with the 49ers winning the games that they should have won, it feels like they were like depressed when they lost Fred Warner and they threw up their hands for the season, not realizing that there was going to be so much parity in the NFL. Like maybe the idea is like, who are they going to get at safety at the trade deadline? But I just wish that they would have bolstered the fact that both at linebacker and at safety right now, it's obvious that the players on the field at this point, at the level that they're at, are not good enough.
Yeah.
But
they'll look better once Bethune will help not only just in his run defense, but in communication. Because their back end communication was bad. And, why are you still having these coverage mistakes where you're just blowing your assignment? No. Yeah. Part of that also is that D. Winters isn't great in pass coverage either. So there you are. But despite all that, here they are, 10-4 with 3 games left. And they've still got a chance to win the division, be the 1 seed. So, considering the injuries, it's pretty amazing. It's a great coaching job throughout the staff.
Yeah.
That they're here, that they've got some stuff to work on. Saleh's got a lot of work to do this week to try to come up with some solutions of how do you stop Jonathan Taylor? How do you limit Tyler Warren? How do you do both at the same time? He's going to have to come up with something.
The one good thing is, and I know it's like cool story, depending on how you look at it. It also could be, condemnation of quarterback development at the time. But I guess it's a cool story that Phillip Rivers is back. He did not impress me.
I like it, but
he didn't scare me.
No, it's
he impressed me. He did impress me. The fact that he's 40, like coming out, but he didn't scare.
Yeah, just playing.
Him, I'm worried about the Colts running game, not Phillip Rivers killing you.
Yeah. Oh, sure. Because Philip Rivers, he had 19 completions last week. 17 of them were 6 yards or less.
Yeah.
9 of them were behind the line of scrimmage. And the thing that helps the Niners is Saleh likes to protect against explosives. You don't need to do that when you're facing Philip Rivers. So that allows you to bring everybody up to stop the run, is that you can pack it. You can pack the box and put a lot of people out there to stop Taylor. It's just, how do you stop Taylor and Warren at the same time is the issue. Can they do it? I think they can, given that Rivers can't throw deep. It's past 10 yards, he was 2 for 8 with a pick. So he can't really beat you deep.
Okay.
But he can beat you
upfront
6 yards or less. He's a threat because he's still accurate and he's very smart because 44-year-old, he's been through the wars. He knows where to go with the ball and he can still deliver that part of it. It's just he can't take it past 10.
I like this. You don't stop Taylor from getting yards, but you just limit the chance of him getting a long run.
Yeah,
I kind of agree.
Well said, JLP.
Yeah, like I said, I watch a lot of these games with my dad, and I love my dad, but if they get 4 yards, if there's one pass that gets completed, he's like, "What are they doing?" And sometimes I'm like, no, the other team's gonna get some, but it's limiting the more explosive plays. It's gonna be being sound on your assignments. So yeah, maybe he'll get the ball and be able to run for 3-4 yards, but let's not let any all the way down the field touchdowns happen.
Right.
That's going to be how they successfully limit their offense. And if the 49ers can continue to be a little bit higher scoring, they'll be able to win the game, because Philip Rivers isn't going to throw the ball all the way down the field. If you can stop Jonathan Taylor from getting 20, 26, 30 yards, you're going to be in the game. It's if all of a sudden they're running halfway down the field that you're kind of setting yourself up for in a disadvantageous position.
Right. They can't do like what they did with Tony Pollard, where he got 20-yard runs. It's you have to limit these guys. Tennessee ran for big yards per carry. It was something crazy, like 7+. So they have to do a better job. But the problem is the Colts' offensive line is a lot better than Tennessee's. So yeah, you can have Tatum Bethune, but you also need to get the full rotation at defensive line. You need to have everybody in there fresh and playing hard, playing well. Hopefully they've got the full line back. Get the rotation so they can keep playing defense and just giving all out effort every time they're on the field.
I do know right before the game during warmups, Jordan Elliott, who's been, none of these guys are, total game changers, but they are helpful pieces. Yeah. And Jordan Elliott was not able to play against the Titans, tweaking his knee during the warmups. But when Kyle talked yesterday, he sounded like he'll be ready to go in this game. That was more of a tweak versus like a major injury.
So. Right. And it's going to be key in this game that they have that rotation, because they need to have fresh legs for the fourth. One of the ways that Jonathan Taylor succeeds is he's just a battering ram over time, that you get into the fourth quarter and he's still going, and you have to find a way to stop him. And the best way to do that is to have Bethune on the field and to have the defensive line rotating so that you've always got fresh legs.
Yeah. It would be great to start getting some of these guys back. It feels like offensively,
they need them.
They're, hitting a stride with the acknowledgement that they've also been going against really poor teams. But we've had, I feel like this season, it's like some games the defense is keeping you in the game, some games the offense is keeping you in the game. And I'd really like it to start meshing towards the end of the season as they go into the playoffs, that both, all sides of the football are trying to hold as much of their own as possible. Especially, I think this, Philip Rivers, not to down him, but him being older and stuff, I feel like it's a game that the 49ers definitely should be able to win and should be able to simulate some pressure. And I believe Saleh will. Moving away from the takeaways of the Titans game, I did want to talk, you kind of mentioned the playoff picture. The 49ers could clinch a playoff spot this week. I think there's a couple different matchups.
All they need to do is win, and they're in.
Oh, so
it's real simple
in their hands.
Yeah.
What
So
people
but that's just to get in. That's not the seed that they would want, but that guarantees them a playoff berth.
What's the I was seeing something on Twitter where it was like if the 49ers win and I think because some people were saying you should, root for the Seahawks to win, that'll elevate the 49ers position within the NFC West.
Yeah,
If they're looking for
because
that number one
if
seed.
Seattle wins, then the Rams lose a game and drop back down to where the Niners are. And then the Niners play Seattle last game of the year. So in theory, they need Seattle to beat the Rams and then beat Seattle at home to end the year. Julie asked, who do I think is going to win? Rams. As I was telling Ashley before we got on, the weather forecast for Rams Seahawks is what you would expect for Seattle in December. It's going to rain, 15-mile-an-hour winds. It's going to be cold. And so with all of that, it's going to force the game to be more about running the ball than throwing it. Last time that those two teams played, Kyren Williams had 90 yards on the Seattle defense. Seattle defense has improved, and the Seattle run game has improved, but Kyren Williams is a better back than Kenneth Walker and Charbonnet and more consistent. And so I think the Rams are going to be able to do more in running the ball than the Seahawks. And it's Sam Darnold in a big game and Matthew Stafford in a big game.
Yeah.
And I think that that's going to be a problem for them as well. That if the Seahawks can't, when you're dealing with that kind of weather, can Darnold execute and get the ball to JSN? That's going to be a big part of the game.
No, I do.
Meanwhile, can Stafford get the ball to Puka? It's just we'll see.
Yeah.
But what that game is going to come down to is the run game, and I think Kyren Williams is a better back.
I think Devontae Adams is going to be out for the Rams, though.
Yeah, and he's a big chunk of their touchdowns. So,
but I do see what you mean that like maybe in a different setting that would be more of an issue, but maybe in this particular game because Devontae Adams is more of a downfield threat, but they're not really going to be probably airing it out this game. They're going to be run heavy and then slant.
Yeah. Well, it's go back to when the Niners played the Rams last year in the rain, and the Rams couldn't really do much of anything. It's just the Niners did even less. It's going to be that kind of a game, but with a lot more wind.
Yeah. And then, so if the 49ers win out, let's say, can they control their destiny to get to the number one seed, or
only if the Rams lose? The Rams need to lose. The Rams need to lose a division game, so they either need to lose to Seattle or Arizona. Arizona is in free fall, so really, it's the Seattle game.
Got it.
What the Niners need is for the Seahawks to win, and then the Niners to beat Seattle on the final week. That's their path to number one. It's possible. The Seahawks are playing well, but they barely got past on a last-second field goal to beat the Colts with Phillip Rivers.
Yeah.
What are they going to do against the Rams with Stafford? I'm kind of expecting. Part of this is also just a bias against Darnold in big games.
No, I think that's fair.
So we'll see.
Eric says no Adams. We did talk about that. I didn't realize. I thought that if the 49ers won out, that they would be able to surpass the Rams. I didn't realize.
No, they need help. They need the Rams to lose a division game.
Yeah, I'm not betting on Darnold. I hope I'm wrong. But I'm
going to root for the Seahawks, but we'll see if they can get it done. But it's just I think the weather is going to help the Rams more than the Seahawks because the Seahawks depend on getting the ball to JSN. Yeah, Bigger always goes against me because I'm always wrong. So you're welcome, Bigger. I always I'm 7-7 on my Niner picks this year. Not good.
No, you're doing great. I also wanted to really quick give a shout out. I put it up on the stream, but Edgar gave us a super sticker, and I always really appreciate anyone who gives a super chat. Yeah. But okay, moving on from really quick, because I want, can we look ahead? The 49ers can't do this, but we can. I'm going to pick the 49ers to beat the Colts.
Yeah, me too.
Even though I think it could. I think they're going to win. I would prefer from like a sizing them up, not from like a game watching, from a fan who likes football, 49ers or not. I like when games are close, but from a longevity of the 49ers team, you kind of want them to be able to blow out the Colts.
Sure. I don't think they will, because Indianapolis is going to be able to control the clock with Taylor.
Yeah, and that's what I was going to say. I'm not sure they'll be able to do that, but they just have to have defensive fixes, because when I was under the incorrect assumption that the 49ers weren't reliant on the Rams winning, I still wasn't sure if they'd win out because of this defense. And when you look at the Bears right now and how well they've been able to run the ball, utilize Caleb in spurts, and then as someone in the chat pointed out, the Seahawks are going to be in Levi's week 17. Now, we don't know if that's going to be a rain game, but I'm still not at the last two games, although impressive and like they needed to win the games in front of them. They're against lesser quality opponents, and just winning against Cleveland and against the Titans doesn't give me full confidence that they're going to win out for the rest of the season. Do you feel like I'm underselling it, or do you think that some people might be overreacting to the last two games?
Well, you need to factor in who they were playing, obviously, because you can't look at the stats from the Tennessee game. You have to look at the execution, like I was saying earlier.
Yeah.
Because their defense is that bad. And what would happen to the Niners if they lost three safeties in one half? They'd have nothing left. And neither did Tennessee. So you have to put that context in and apply it. So yeah, but if you look just at the execution, the offensive execution is there. Trent Williams had his best game of the season. So did Brock.
Yeah.
Pearsall played well, but then he got hurt again because he's Ricky Pearsall. Kittle looked great, but then Kittle has looked great for the last month. So you've got all of that. Plus you've got Purdy is looking a lot healthier, a lot better. McKivitz is playing well. So there's a lot of pieces in place that are looking good right now. And that's reason for positivity, but don't overreact to the stats, because when you're playing inferior opponents, your stats are going to be inflated.
I saw something on Twitter that was saying, is Brock Purdy playing like a top 5 quarterback in the NFL right now? And I'm not necessarily diminishing that conversation if you want to look at it the whole year, but at the same time, I am diminishing it because one, he has not played the majority of the season, and two, you're talking about 2 games against lesser quality opponents. I don't see, or maybe this exists and it's just not on my timeline, but I would think as a 49er fan, if the Philadelphia Eagles just beat the Raiders, if I saw someone, going, look at how much Jalen Hurts crushed the Raiders, right, he's the number 1 quarterback in the NFL, I'd be like, okay, well, anyone should crush the Raiders. Right. Let's pump the brakes and let's see if he can do it against higher quality competition. That's how I feel about Brock. I'm not trying to like poo-poo it. This was a great game. I feel like we've done a good job of giving him credit. But at the same time, like I don't think that there should be like victory laps when it comes to the Raiders, when it comes to Cleveland, or when it comes to the Titans.
Though Cleveland has one of the best defenses in the league. So any success against the Browns defense, you're doing well. But Tennessee, come on now. 26th. Don't look at the stats. Just how are they playing? That's what you want to see. And so I like the play. I like what Kyle called, and I hope that they can build upon that going forward. But now you've got 3 much tougher games than what they've faced during this win streak. So thanks, Julie. So we'll have to see how they can pull this off. But I think they've got more personnel advantages against Indianapolis. They should be okay. Chicago, the problem there is dealing with their run game and dealing with how their defense turns you over. If there's a game where Brock needs to really protect the ball, it's Chicago, because their defense, when they don't turn the ball over, can be beat. They depend on those turnovers to succeed defensively. Without them, there's a lot of people that can just drive the ball right down the field in the Bears' D.
A different overreaction that, or maybe overreaction. I'm asking you, is this an overreaction? Kyle Shanahan, should he be coach of the year? This conversation has come up. It seems like every other week, and then they'll have like a horrible loss, and no one talks about it for a second.
Yeah.
Now there's obviously Kyle Posey of Niners Nation said, the 49ers beat the best team in the NFL on the road with a backup quarterback without their number one tight end or wide receiver, won 5 games with a backup at quarterback. Kyle Shanahan shouldn't be penalized for his past success. This is the best coaching job he's ever done. I'm not sure if it's close. Kyle was asked earlier this week if he was most proud of this season compared to all of his other coaching seasons. He said no and went on to list different years that the 49ers had kind of gotten further. So potentially if the 49ers get back to that NFC championship, this could work his way up. He kind of went on to name every single season except for his first when he was in the press conference.
Well, yeah, and in the first you're not going to have a good record your first year as a head coach taking over a moribund team. So yeah. I agree. I see what Kyle is saying, and I agree with it. The problem is that's not how the media thinks. The award goes to the team that has the lowest expectations to begin the year that had the highest result. And so that's New England, that's Jacksonville. It's not Kyle because the expectation for the Niners is too high. And that's why he hasn't won Coach of the Year, because everyone expects the Niners to do well. And he's trapped by his own success in a way. But is this his best year? I think 2019, Kyle did a better year because they got to the Super Bowl with Jimmy Garoppolo at quarterback. That's that's a magic trick.
Yeah.
And so I would take that over this year. But I would say that this year has to be in his top 3 of all the seasons that you look at since Kyle has been here.
The fact that they've had so much adversity, they've lost 2 of their biggest stars. I completely agree. And you would say more of that. I mean, I guess we can touch on Aiyuk, but the fact that Aiyuk has not been there, 49ers
that's a factor too. Yeah.
49ers are lucky that like they have, they've struggled a lot in drafting, but the guys that they do have on the team are very like multi-use. So like Christian McCaffrey, they've been able to, for the majority of the season has been the number 1 receiver on this team. Obviously George Kittle is an excellent pass catcher. So they've been able to scheme around the fact that they don't have a wide receiver 1, but they really haven't had a wide receiver 1. I guess you would say Jennings, but Jennings is catching anywhere from, 3 to 5 receptions a game. That's not necessarily number 1 receiver level. He's doing, he's been successful at it, at least, maybe not the very beginning of the year, but last 10 weeks.
He's playing well last few weeks. I think that he's had some good games.
And then Pierce
he's not a number 1 target though. And Ricky, it's just he's too fragile. He's the glass menagerie. He's just you can't rely on Ricky to stay healthy. He's just too small.
Yeah. So I agree that Kyle
they're gonna have to deal with that.
Definitely. How about a red jacket? I got to get a red jacket. I think because I do have a 49ers sweater, but it's on my bed because every once in a while, do you guys like to cuddle like a pillow or something in bed? I'm 30, but I have bad hips. I run a lot, so I like to like put like a pillow or something in between my thing, and my 49ers sweater is in my bed because I was putting it in between my legs last night. But anyways,
okay.
I was just responding. I do Rams colors.
Yeah. I get that, but it's a good looking jacket. What's the problem?
It's just warm. It's not even mine.
Come on. Yeah, the important thing is you're warm.
Yeah. But all I was saying is I do agree that Kyle Shanahan deserves a good amount of credit for being able to win games and have a successful in the win-loss column season. But also what I will say maybe, in my opinion, more impressive or what would show the most growth from like previous years with Kyle is that team morale has seemingly been very high, and like there's been togetherness and like a, team. Last year we talked a lot about like there's the core and there's the in group and the out group, and they were trying to make
there were
veterans work,
clicks.
and they were sitting. This does not feel like this, and maybe it's just like a lot of the original quote unquote core has now left, so there's less of them to make that.
That's part of it, but I think also that last year they suffered from just the accumulation of the Super Bowl loss and just how that kind of carried a dark shadow and a dark cloud over the team for a while.
Yeah.
This year it seemed like they had buy-in, and I think part of that is Saleh, and as Daniel points out in the chat, part of this is special teams. That the special teams is number 2 in the league in EPA.
Yeah,
by a lot.
Crazy. That's a huge,
and that's just they are just the amount that they are just so much better than they have been in the past. You got to give Boyer a lot of credit.
You're completely right that yes, Kyle, maybe Shanahan has done things to improve, but we can't dismiss that Robert Saleh being here has helped. Like when we talk about, they've lost all these players and they're still able. Robert Saleh is scheming up a ton, and then the addition of Bryant Boyer and moving on from Jake Moody, the Eddie Pinheiro. If Kyle does win Coach of the Year, he deserves to go up there with that award, because the 49ers lost. I totaled it this offseason, but I forget now. It might have been 5 games due to missed field goals. And obviously, when you say missed field goals, it's like, okay, you're not scoring in the red zone. That's an issue. But last year, there were multiple games that they relied on Jake Moody to make a game-winning kick or just make a field goal.
Or go ahead. Yeah.
And he missed them.
And he missed.
And the 49ers ended up losing those games. They were in a lot of close games that they were not able to pull out because they were, losing by less than 7 points. This, knock on wood, year, they've really been able to rely on their kicker, and he's came through for them. So that's
and Sky Moore has really come on.
Yeah, Sky Moore's been great.
Yeah, best punt returner. I think he's a better punt returner than they've had in a long time. I would go back to John Taylor. I think Sky Moore is that good. Is that if I look at the Niner punt returners in history, I'd say Dana McLemore, who is one of the most underrated Niners ever in the 80s, like 4 punt return touchdowns. And then John Taylor, and then Sky Moore.
Yeah, that's interesting. I saw Grant on Twitter. He was asking earlier, out of the NFC West, was there any position groups or sides of the offense, defense, special teams that were better than the opposing teams in their division? And my initial reaction was I said tight end. I think George Kittle is the best tight end in football. They don't use him anymore. Jake Tonjes, when George Kittle was down, was actually doing really well. So they could even start to do more things with 2 tight ends on the field. I think could be interesting. We see Seattle and the Rams doing that a lot. But so my what I responded to that, and the only thing that I thought of at the time was tight end. And I couldn't think of a different group. I was like, not wide receiver, not, quarterback, whatever.
Oh, it's top 3? Well, Trent, obviously.
Yes. Yeah, so
and
offensive line.
I would think that that's the only one, is that on offense. And on defense, no, because Bosa and Fred are gone.
But what you just a whole category that, because it's always overlooked, I just overlooked it, is special teams. Is the 49ers special teams as good or better than the other special teams in their division? They're definitely better than the Cardinals.
Yeah.
Teams.
Well,
definitely.
They're better than everybody but Seattle. Seattle is just unbelievably good. Their EPA is like 55, and the Niners are 45, and the next is a lot lower down. So they're the top 2 by far. So Seattle and the Niners are the best 2 special teams units in the league.
I agree, but so that brings me some promise, because like I said, initially I could only think of the tight end. You just pointed out offensive linemen, but then also special teams. It's just nice. I don't even think in like the Harbaugh era that you would say the special teams not only wasn't a negative, but was just like a non-factor. The fact that it's actually a plus is a huge difference.
Is huge. And
between-
especially in the playoffs, that's going to be even bigger because field position is so key.
Yes, absolutely. And with our defense not, being great, every kind of inch matters when it comes to offense and stuff like that. Really quickly, I wanted to, before we take off, there's some comments. Some people are talking about Ricky Pearsall. Would Ricky Pearsall get traded? I don't think they're going to trade Ricky. They're not they just put Brandon Aiyuk on the injured / did not return list. They're not in a position where they can get rid of wide receivers. I think they're just crossing their fingers that Ricky can actually stay healthy for any amount of time. I think the 49ers are going to go into the draft / trade for a wide receiver next year. Like, they're going to need to add to their receiving position.
Yeah, because they'll lose both Aiyuk and Jennings.
Yeah.
And they can't rely on Pearsall.
Yeah.
So I think it's entirely possible, especially when we're talking about Kyle, his favorite position to draft, wide receiver.
Yeah.
I think it's possible that they could draft 2.
Yeah, I agree. I just hope that they're actually good this time.
It'd be helpful if they could actually play.
Yeah.
And stay healthy.
But
if one of those guys plays well, then they're in good shape. It's just hopefully they can hit on both, but we'll see.
Yes.
The guy that I'm looking at is Malachi Fields from Notre Dame. Big receiver, can play X, and they've had 3 scouts at Notre Dame games for a long time. I think they're there to look at Fields.
Love it. So yeah, to answer the trading Ricky, I don't think they're going to trade him. They'll definitely, in my opinion, have him play out his contract. What I'm most hopeful for is he doesn't have like one random year where he doesn't get healthy or where he gets healthy and then all of a sudden they try to pay him, $40 million a year or something crazy.
Yeah, I don't think so, because if they do draft at least one receiver that's impact, then he can't get big stats.
True. But I don't think that he's going anywhere, at least for the next year to 2 years.
They have to keep him. And first rounder, they're not going to let him go.
And then Joe Burrow.
I don't know about that. I think that he just wants out of Cincinnati.
Yeah, I've heard people say, like, should the 49ers trade for Joe Burrow? And I saw people talking about this. In my opinion, that this is it's how Tom Jensen feels every time people talk about trading for Max Crosby. You can talk about it. Would he be a good addition to the team? Would he be a step up? Yeah. Is that the same as me, talking about winning the lottery? Yeah. Like, it's not going to happen. The Bengals are not going to trade him, in my opinion. They're definitely not.
I think they could. But
you think they could?
Yeah, but you're going to have to really overpay.
Yeah.
And so that would mean you're the Rams. You've got Atlanta's pick and your own in the first round this year. They can give their first round pick next year. If they gave Cincinnati 3 number 1s,
Jesus, they go from fucking
Burrow goes to the Rams, and we are screwed.
Well, I hope that doesn't happen. Cincinnati.
The Rams are in the best position to get Burrow because they've got that Atlanta pick. And the Atlanta pick could be top 10 or very close. So root for the Falcons to win out, because we need that pick to get worse.
I didn't even know this was an option. I was thinking about the 49ers.
Minnesota or the Niners or whatever. No.
Division opponent.
No. It's the nightmare scenario is the Rams are the team best positioned to trade for Burrow. Yeah. They could do it.
So I hope not. That's my
That'd be bad. Yeah.
Yeah. My takeaway is I hope not. I did hear after that like viral quote unquote interview of him saying he just wanted to have fun or whatever, which I think was kind of blown out of proportion. I feel like a lot of players feel that way, especially after major injuries and rehabbing and stuff.
Yeah, well, after all that he's gone through this year, he's going to be frustrated. He should.
But I think this week, I heard him kind of address it, and he was like, I'm referring to things that are outside of football. So I think he might be doing stuff with his, I don't want to be a drama channel here, but I know he had like a really long-term girlfriend for like, I think since high school, and they broke up. So I imagine he's dealing with injuries. The team isn't winning, and maybe there's some personal stuff going on. I think the press conference, the one that I'm thinking about, where he talks about not feeling happy and wanting to play with joy and stuff, I think it was a little overblown. And I think, to be honest, a lot of players probably feel that way. Like, if you're losing, and you're trying to talk yourself up to come back and play for the team, you want to enjoy it. And maybe his, because of his tone or whatever, it came off wrong. But I think a lot of, maybe they wouldn't voice it, but I think a lot of players, especially when your team isn't doing well and you're trying to psych yourself up to, come and give your all every game, they're talking like that.
Mm-hmm. And the other factor in all this is that the Cincinnati ownership is one of the cheapest groups in the league.
Yeah.
So it's real frustrating as a player that, why are we trying to get better? They're not.
Yeah.
And so that's another factor for Burrow saying, I want out. And then say, okay, you can go from Cincinnati to LA. Sign me up. I've been to Cincinnati. Yeah, I'd like to play in LA instead. Thank you.
Yeah. Hey, don't type.
We don't know. I'm just saying that in terms of Burrow, they are best positioned. Doesn't mean they're going to get him, but it helps that they're NFC. It helps that they've got a pick that's probably top 10 and their own number one. And they have a history of trading a ton of picks to get who they want.
Yeah, and Stafford's like already,
and Stafford could win the Super Bowl this year and retire, and then they could say, okay, here you go, Cincinnati, give us Burrow. Bang. It's possible. It's just, I'm saying, just consider that it's, if Burrow gets traded, the Rams are first in line. We need to embrace that's where we're at right now.
So everyone cross your fingers that Cincinnati stays idiotic and stubborn. And let's hope that the 49ers can go into Indianapolis on Monday night. It's a Monday night game. So for some people, every once in a while, I'll do like a little injury update on Wednesday coming after the first practice of the week, but their first practice actually won't be until Thursday because they're going to practice all the way until Saturday. They move everything back when it's a Monday night.
Yeah, when it's Monday night, right.
Yeah. But then Tom and I will be able to react on Tuesday, the day after. So that, cool. That'll be exciting. Tom, I had such a good time streaming with you.
This was fun. Good stuff. Thanks everybody in the chat, and happy holidays to everybody.
Yeah.
And Ashley, get better, and see you next week.
See you next week. And we'll chat on Tuesdays, and Christmas isn't until Thursday. So we'll get to talk before then. But everyone, if you're doing any travels or anything like that, make sure it's safe and have a really good time. Please make sure to like and subscribe to my YouTube channel. That always helps so much. Make sure to follow Tom Jensen on Twitter. It's NinersCast. He went over a lot of the, like, how do we fix the defense, playoff. If you want to have like a little graphic to be able to see, okay, what do the 49ers need to do and what are the situations when it comes to the playoffs? He goes over that in his article. And then he always has like pre and post game coverage as well. So make sure to follow him on there. I really appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. And I'll talk to you very soon. Bye.